everyone, and welcome to the 24th episode in our AI and You podcast series. Today is Monday, December 14th, 2020, and I'm your host, Vikar Saidi. I'm a computer scientist and engineer, a lecturer, and a consultant. I'm also the author of several books. My most recent book is about artificial intelligence and is titled The Genome Affair. The Genome Affair is a work of speculative fiction. It examines what the world might be like if some of the more extraordinary capabilities forecast to be realized in AI over the next 20 to 30 years were actually realized today. Given the growing list of frightening existential threats humankind now faces, the book pays particular attention to the impact AI is expected to have on world affairs. The book is available in ebook format for those who prefer to read on a digital device, but it's also available in a high-quality paperback edition. The Genome Affair is available on Amazon, so I hope you'll take the time to read it and to leave a review. Book reviews are very helpful for writers. I'm available to give talks on artificial intelligence and its related technologies, and on the impact AI is expected to have, or is already having, on our world. If you'd like to get in touch with me to arrange a web-based event or consulting meeting with your company or organization, you can find my contact info in the podcast notes below. And now, on to today's podcast. In our last podcast, episode 23, I spoke about the recent extraordinary announcement on protein folding from the artificial intelligence company in London, DeepMind. In today's podcast, episode 24, I'll be talking about the coronavirus and examining the role that artificial intelligence has played during the course of the pandemic and how this might impact the future of AI in developed nations. Let's get started. South Korea's population is approximately the same as that of Spain. South Korea has a population of 51 million, whereas Spain has a population of 47 million. Geographically, South Korea is situated across the Yellow Sea, just northeast of Shanghai and Wuhan, which was, of course, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. Seoul to Wuhan is 870 miles, or 1,400 kilometers, whereas Madrid to Wuhan is 6,100 miles, or 9,900 kilometers. Yet, despite the similar populations, and despite Spain's much greater distance from the epicenter of the pandemic outbreak, Spain's death toll is now approaching 50,000, with nearly 2 million cases reported, while South Korea's death toll remains under 600, with about 41,000 cases reported. Now, given South Korea's geoproximity to Wuhan relative to Spain's, we might expect the data to be reverse. So why is it not? There are three main reasons. First, South Korea is better prepared for pandemics. Over the last 2 decades, there have been several highly infectious respiratory diseases that have emerged in the region. This experience left the South Korean authorities and society very well prepared relative to their Spanish counterparts. Second, although both countries are democracies, South Korean society is much more accepting of their need to cooperate with the guidance of public health officials than that of the Spaniards. The South Korean people will obey orders to wear masks, social distance, and promptly report infections. they do not see these requests from the public health authorities as an infringement on their personal freedoms. Things are culturally quite different in Spain. The third key factor is the South Korean contact tracing system, which is underpinned by artificial intelligence. This technology has been very effective in contacting, identifying, and tracing the people who have been in contact with an infected person. Given the technologically advanced society in South Korea, and given their past experience with similar public health emergencies, the public health authorities there were ready with a sophisticated AI-based contact tracing system. The results of these three factors have been extraordinary. The South Korean economy remains open and is functioning well with limited disruption. They are able to mobilize and manage any infectious disease outbreaks quickly and effectively, even as large parts of the developed and developing world are facing catastrophic and simultaneous public health and economic crises as a result of the very same public health emergency. Artificial intelligence-enabled contact tracing systems similar to the South Korean system are gradually being deployed in communities in the United States and in other parts of the developed world as well. But the success in South Korea and other societies where public respect and acquiescence to the requests for cooperation by public health authorities will continue to play an important role in both health and economic outcomes. Since the coronavirus was first identified in late December of 2019, artificial intelligence has played a central role in the fight against COVID. In an approach similar to what America experienced in the 1960s, as it hurtled towards fulfilling Kennedy's vision of going to the moon and back by the end of the decade, private companies, nonprofit foundations, and organizations and public health agencies in the US and in Europe collaborated in an unprecedented manner and accelerated the scientific research and development to identify therapies and vaccines. Early in 2020, some of America's leading technology giants, including Google and Microsoft, collaborated with government agencies, including the National Institutes of Health, the Centers for Disease Control, and the Allen Institute for AI. Through these efforts, some of the country's brightest minds and most advanced technologies worked together in an incredibly effective manner to interrogate and solve the mystery that is COVID-19. This collaboration across science and technology and across industry, the philanthropic sector, and government has enabled us to discover and produce vaccines faster than we have ever been able to in the history of public health. But the unprecedented speed with which we have discovered vaccines and therapies is not the only benefit of how we have responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. We are seeing that artificial intelligence has finally gotten the attention of our senior political leaders. Although AI was not explicitly mentioned during the 2020 presidential election cycle, probably since the candidates are quite elderly and the concepts of AI, biotech, data science, and GPUs are difficult for them to grasp, we can nevertheless expect that the US and European governments will have taken notice and will consequently begin to invest more in public sector AI. Perhaps without the pandemic and devastating impacts to the lives of citizens and the impacts to the economy, politicians would still be reticent about holding hearings and appropriating financial resources, as they are now more likely to do. COVID-19 has shown our political class that non-military threats can also have disastrous consequences on the lives of their constituents and the economic stability and security of the country. Finally, most politicians also now realize that another pandemic will inevitably occur in the near future as a consequence of globalization. And by investing in artificial intelligence and its related technologies, including contact tracing, today we will be in a much better position to respond than we were at the beginning of 2020. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm trying to follow the TED Talk format, and so I'm keeping these podcasts under 20 minutes. Let me know what you think. I hope you'll find these insights into artificial intelligence helpful, and I hope you'll read my new book, The Genome Affair. It's on Amazon. Until next time then, this has been the AI and You podcast with author Vicar Saidi.